All right, everyone. So R-Truth is back. We're reading here from Inside the Ropes Wrestling. According to Fightful Select, a veteran in the company said that Triple H doesn't like it when fans hijack creative. The site also shared that the veteran expressed in a very colorful manner that they didn't believe it was a planned angle. The report also said that several superstars dismissed Triple H comments about R-Truth's exit and return of work, especially after the superstar's son dismissed this as well on social media. More details after R-Truth's WWE exit and return. In the same report from Fightful Select, R-Truth's reported co-worker for over a decade shared that the superstar would never fake or lie about them about a departing storyline. At most, Truth would most likely ask them just to not say anything about it. They added that even Triple H knows that lying or working the roster is in horrible taste. Finally, another reported friend of R-Truth shared that in the week of the former United States champion's absence from WWE, it was hard to feel good as it felt like Santa Claus was fired. However, the mood is different now following his return. So there's a few things I want to talk about here. The first is we've done a lot of videos talking about what's going on in WWE right now. There was a lot of people that were happy to see Vince McMahon go for various reasons, right? Obviously, the legal stuff and all of that, right? But I'm even taking that aspect out of it. A lot of people were unhappy with his creative direction. Because of that, I think a lot of people were a little bit less skeptical of, okay, who is now going to be running the show with TKO coming in. And we've done a few videos a little bit pointing to there might be some things that aren't so great about it. However, I want to give them credit where credit is due. This is now the second time we've seen positive change because they were listening to the fan base. I completely disagree. And I don't have any sources on this. And I feel like everything we've seen from Triple H, I don't think this comes off as very negative. I don't think that's how Triple H operates. He certainly has made it clear that they're not going to just be doing things based off of what happens on social media. However, they are going to do things if the audience wants something. And I don't think it should be a negative that they decided R-Truth, we're going to let him go. The fans said, we want Truth. And so they said, we're going to bring him back. That's how things are supposed to happen. I don't view that as a negative. I view that as a positive. I viewed it as a negative when they were going to let him go. But now that I've seen, okay, they took a corrective action, that's a positive. I understood why they would let R-Truth go. He's not someone who's in, the main event scene, although funny enough, I guess he was recently, in his match against John Cena. But I understood that the reason that they were letting him go was probably for a cost-cutting thing. I disagreed with the decision, but I understood the decision. By them taking a corrective action on it, that's good. So I think they deserve a little bit of praise. But there's a difference between, allowing the fan base to, to be changing storylines left and right because of a tweet you read, and having in these arenas people chanting for R-Truth, and then you decide we'll bring them back. Like, I don't understand why there's anything negative about that. And so I feel like this quote is a little bit unfair to Triple H. He's made it clear that, yeah, we're not going to be running our show based off of social media. And I think the best example of this is Jey Uso, right? I mean, if you were running WWE off of social media, when Jey Uso, when he was being pushed a little bit. I mean, he still is, right, as champ. But when he was seriously being pushed, and when there was the rumors about it, he wins the Royal Rumble, all of this stuff, social media was not happy. But the fan base, look at how they react when he comes out, yeeting left and right. Look at how they react to him. That tells you everything that you need to know. So yes, they're not going to be over analyzing that aspect. It doesn't mean the fans have no input. So I think, from what I understand here, it's almost like two different, arguments being pushed together, right? So you have two arguments that are being pushed together. One where Triple H is saying we're not going to let social media dictate what we do, and him saying he doesn't like when fans hijack creative. This isn't the hijacking of creative. In fact, this return gave maybe the best moment of Money in the Bank, I would say. And I think it really saved the main event because you had such a good show building up to the main event that the main event, even though you had all this star power in there, I didn't think it was heading to be, oh my God, this main event is going to be the best on the show. or the best it could have been, everyone would have said, man, the show was good, but the main event was kind of behind until R-Truth came out. And then it was like, this main event rocked. This was the best main event they could have had. So I think it was all positive. I think this is a really good update. Like I said, we've done many videos that are kind of just trying to pose the question of, all right, you have new people in charge now. Is that exactly the right thing in terms of, like, are there things that they're going to do wrong? To me, this is the opposite. This is a sign of, okay, they made a decision which made sense. They went back on it. They decided to sign them, and everything's good. I don't even understand why. I mean, I know Triple H isn't going to get into it, but so R-Truth's son and R-Truth himself both said that this wasn't some kind of work. This wasn't part of the storyline. And so I don't think it's smart for WWE to try to play it off as it being a storyline in terms of, like, publicly. I mean, if I'm Triple H, I would almost take credit for it. This is a good thing. There is a world in which, if this was all a storyline, that's actually kind of bad. If this was all a storyline, something like this, now every time you see someone's released, you got to wonder, oh, was he actually released, or is this part of a storyline? I don't think that's a really fair thing to do. They do it on WWE TV, but when something happens on WWE TV, people know, okay, that's all, there's nothing real about that. But when it happens on social media during, when they're letting Carlito go and others, people are going to believe that. So it's almost better that this is a story or not a storyline, because if it is a storyline, I think they really shouldn't have done it, right? And it may be something that worked in this case because everybody bought it, but long term, I wouldn't think that's good. So it doesn't look like this is a storyline. R-Truth and his son both have basically confirmed that. All the backstage reporting confirmed that. So I think WWE should own it because they made the right call here. I don't know what the contract situation necessarily looks like. I will say, as much as I would go to them and be like, well, good job on bringing him back, I don't know what actually changed. If you thought R-Truth was, if you thought R-Truth was someone you could not, keep, then I don't think you understood kind of the audience's feelings about him very well. You weren't watching the show close enough, I guess, if he was one of the guys that you thought you could cost cut. So I don't know what changed. Now he's worth his contract because people is chanting his name. I don't understand all of that. Maybe he's going to get a little bit of a bigger push than he had. This certainly opens up a lot of opportunities for him, but we will see. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.